All right, guys, Nick here, Greystone Copywriting in my beautiful kitchen. So today, I just quickly want to go over two emails that I made. So I don't work with this brand or for this brand. I'm just subscribed to the newsletter, and I saw an area of opportunity to basically make them two emails they can add to their welcome flow. That'll likely bring in a lot of money from new subscribers. So currently, on our left here, what you see is the email that I got from them. So it's just their first welcome email, which is good. Welcome. The picture is cool, and then they thank them for signing up, which is always a good thing to do. But there's not much more after that. There was no sign up incentive, so I didn't include anything like that in my new emails that I made. But basically, and I might make a more in depth video about this, but basically, I did all my research on the brand, on the market, on the customers. Compiled everything before I wrote any of my copy. I figured out what emails would be best to add. So we have a brand story email, and we have a product benefits email. So everything, like all the copy, is in the what do you call it? Tone of voice, like the correct tone of voice. So what I did there is I took all of the customer reviews, I compiled everything. I said you can using AI is probably the best way to do this. Put it in Chat GPT. Say, hey, these are all of our customers. I want you to create a brand voice guideline for me. So that way, when I went through to edit all this copy, I use that guideline. I'm like, okay, I can change this, I can change that to make it more sound like this, and that makes it more engaging because when you're talking to your customers, you want to talk in their language, right? You want to be relatable, and it's going to get their attention as well. And then I went through and I just figured out when it came to design what their design style was, which is pretty minimalistic. They only have a few colors. It's like a light gray, this green color, which is actually really awesome. And then they usually use like black and white. And so I made sure to include all that. I grabbed a bunch of assets from their website and their social media to include in the emails. And brings us to here basically. So we have our headline. This is our benefits based email, the first one. Fresh fur, calm home, happy dog. So pretty happy with that headline. I like it. But basically encapsulates like the main benefit of this product. So I should probably explain this. These guys, they make pet care products. So mainly for dog fur, their dog coats, and for dental hygiene as well. So they make here. I'll show you actually. Oh, I don't know if I have any good pictures. Um, like deodorizing sprays, fur oil, I guess is the right word for it to use to, make it softer and basically to eliminate smell and all that stuff. And then they have toothbrushes and all that. So in this benefits email, we have first, I made a few simple icons that we have up here. So it's sustainable, made in Canada, thoughtful design. We have our hero image, which blends nicely throughout the whole email. So it starts off as like a gray, blends down into like a lighter gray, and then eventually into white, um, which gives it some good depth. With this main blurb here, this first part is really just talking to the customer about the main benefit of this product for them. And how I got this information was by, again, compiling all of the customer reviews, seeing what they said, and then taking the common consensus there. So there's no guesswork to it. Really, you got to just listen to your customers. So that's what this is. That speaks to like the main deep benefit, like the core reason behind why this customer is going to buy this product. We have our call to action, which I could have maybe been more creative with, but that's okay. And then we have basically, these are all of our secondary, like supporting benefits and features of the products. And then we have a nice photo beside it to support. Try to make the photos relevant to each point that I was making. So like toothbrushing made easy, have a toothbrush. And then we have our call to action again. What I did do as well, design wise, I should fix this, is we added in these, we're going to do that later. We added in these little white lines just for a little bit of extra something in the background. And then what I always like to do in emails, whether I'm doing like infographic or whatever it is or with these benefit-based emails is have a big sub-headline or a big icon that they can easily skim through. So like if I open this email and I'm not want to read the whole thing, I can easily go through and say, oh, truly, eliminates odors. Should have an S on there before I forget. Safe and natural, not toxic, soft, shining, smooth coat, toothbrushing made easy. So like I could just skim through if I was like didn't really want to read, or I was just like doing an initial scan through to see if it's something I'm interested in. Those jump out at you, and then you can read the supporting points underneath. And then I threw in a little piece of social proof at the bottom here, which never hurts anybody. And then we have a nice picture to accompany that. So, yeah, that's where we are. That's the first email. Pretty happy with that one. Going to move on to our second one. And like the reason why you want to have um, a benefit-based email is because it raises the desire within the customer and the perceived value of your products. So, the customer comes along, they sign up to your newsletter, they maybe know a little bit about you, but not too much. After reading this, where your product sits now in their mind is up here instead of down here, and they have more desire to actually purchase this problem. Granted, they have this product will solve their problem. So, say they're having issues with their dog, their coat is just not as shiny as they want it to be, or they always kind of have that wet dog smell, or they just in general really want to take good care of their dogs. That is a problem or a desire they have. If you speak to this directly and connect it to your product, that is going to raise, this is going to move them closer to a purchase. They're closer to or raise their desire to purchase your product because you demonstrated exactly how it will solve their problem. All right, so we're going to move on to our second email, and that is going to be the brand story type of thing. So I always preach that this is pretty important. When you're building a brand, it's important to build a brand and have a face to the brand. Otherwise, there's just kind of like something missing. You want to give it some soul. So meet the dog moms behind Barkus. So that's I tried to best I could include like that, some like nice, I don't know, don't want to say puns, but like, that tone of voice, it's not just like meet the founders, it's meet the dog moms, and that fits the language of the customer. We have these are all photos of each founder with a little quote, which I just pulled from the website. It's, a little blurbs about, their experience and why they started the company. Then we have a nice transition back here, which is nothing fancy, but it's better than like a straight cut line. It kind of goes down, overlaps with this section here. And then we go into basically the brand story. And in every brand story, you want to have like, the problem that you saw or the desire that you had as a founder, the solution that you come up with, and like the hurdles that you had to overcome to get there. And then basically like where you are now, maybe talk about your values or your morals and connect that and be as relatable as you can to your customer, right? So you basically just want to demonstrate you're a real person, and then what your morals are as a brand as well, and relate that to what the customer stands for. So they're like, customer sees this, they're like, wow, like these are the thoughts I have, or these are the morals I have as well. That this brand stands for what I stand for as well. They're going to want to buy from you to support you because they're the same. When someone is the same as you, it's a weird like psychology thing. Whether it's they look like you or they have the same thoughts as you, they're going to want to do what you ask, or they want to do what you do. So then I only have one call to action in this email down at the bottom, which is usually what I do in a story email, just because you want it to be a bit more personal and not so much sales heavy. And then I have like this little section at the bottom here that's meet the pups. Meet the pups. So these are all photos of, I think, the founder's dogs. I'm pretty sure. It's just like a nice little playful, you know, little thing. Um, yeah, because people who love dogs. And they like to see other people's dogs as well. And then I just put a little extra like overlapping background back here to give it a little more depth. And that is that. And then again in this email, we have a nice sub headline bolding each one with icons. It makes it stand out in case you're just skimming through, like I said before. And then we have the background at the bottom overlaps with the infographic in the center a little bit. Again, gives it some more depth. It's not just flat. But yeah, nice and simple. I actually really like the way they turned out. I think I just really like Barkus's color scheme. I think it's actually really sick. But anyways, that's what we got. Copy these if you want. Ask me any questions, or even give me some pointers in the comments if you have any. Like, comment, and subscribe.